Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to share with you guys the build that I've been playing for Path of Exile 2 0.5 update, Return of the Ancients, which is my Mirage stacking Glacial Lance Deadeye. So I'll just show you how much Mirage we can stack. The two ways to stack our Mirage is number one, to attack from our Ascendancy Mirage Deadeye, and number two, to dodge roll from our Mirage Archer Spirit Gem. So the reason for that is because I'll just show you Mirage Deadeye. I know Mirage Archer would be better. Okay, so the thing with Mirage is that it has a cooldown where it says 10 seconds, and then it has a duration of a base duration of 5.65 or 6 seconds if you're level 20, and you can actually scale the cooldown recovery to low enough and the duration to high enough so that you can spawn multiple Mirages. It used to be only limited to one, but now you can actually scale it so that it can overlap multiple times. So for example, for our Mirage Archer, we have a cooldown of 5.46 and a Mirage duration of 13.79. This means that at one time, a perfect to the clock Mirage Archer triggering, we can actually get up to 3 Mirage Archer, well 2.5. So this means that the DPS of the skill can be multiplied by a lot just by stacking it. So because the Mirage Deadeye Ascendancy from here, Mirage Deadeye, also functions similarly to Mirage Archer. That way, if we scale both skill effect duration and cooldown recovery, we can scale both skills at once. And the only difference is that number one, it deals less damage and it's triggered when you fire a ranged projectile attack for Mirage Deadeye, and for Mirage Archer it triggers when you dodge roll, so that's why you need to dodge roll and attack. And we can get cooldown skill effect duration from, we only get it from the tree here, from this cluster Prolonged Assault, and also this cluster Multitasking, which also improves our cooldown recovery rate, which we get from here, number one. Number two, our unique shield, Crest of Ardura. This is a very cheap unique shield that can rolls up to 50% or even higher if you decide to vol it. And finally, another cooldown recovery source, huge cooldown recovery source, is here, Katal's Rejuvenation linked with Remnant, which we link with our Mana Remnant. So it solves our mana issue, as well as granting us, where is it? 5% increased cooldown recovery rate per stack up to 8 times. So 40% cooldown recovery just from here. So with all of that going on, we can get a decent amount of Mirage Archer, and it works well with our skill Glacial Lance. I link every of my Mirage with Glacial Lance because this skill freezes well, and it's kinda strong, decently strong for a non-frenzy charge version. But it kinda has an issue with targeting, especially if you play manually and when you play in a very dense map. So having this AI targeting the mobs for us is actually a great boon, because you don't lose your DPS from missing your Glacial Lance spears. And the projectile speed is fast enough at base speed that you don't really need to improve upon it. Then other skills that we use Spearfield as a utility, linked to Pinpoint Critical, Blazing Critical, Rage and Rapid Attacks. So we don't use it for damage at all, we just use it to trigger Rage and Critical for Blazing Critical, and also Frenzy Charge, which is slotted in our call shots to generate our Frenzy Charge. And then we also used, unfortunately, I had to incorporate Twister. I didn't want to play with Twister. It's just that I tried to use Herald of Ice on this build, and I tried to play around with here Gravemind, where it says enemies in your presence killed by anyone can count as being killed by you instead. Okay, the problem with Mirage Archers and Mirage Deadeye, they are actually proxies and they are not players, so they cannot trigger Herald of Ice, and even if you use Gravebind, enemies killed in your presence still don't count as being triggered by you. So unfortunately, I cannot clear very well without Herald of Ice. So I tried to play around with a lot of things and ultimately decided to go with Twisters, which this setup also benefits from improving cooldown recovery and skill effect duration. Okay, why do I say that? This is because our Twister setup is very simple. Just like that. I mean, our Twister didn't hit our Whirlwind Lance. I'll do this again. Yeah, just like that. I mean, it will work better once you see it in the gameplay. And the reason for that is because 0.5 introduces a new Kalgorian gem, which is Animal Splinter, which has a cooldown again. But this skill basically allows you to cast one attack, just one attack, at no animation. It's just a simple trigger. You can use an instant use time. So currently, this one has a cooldown of 4 seconds, and it pairs really well with Twisters that I link with Salvo, because Salvo also gains projectile every second. So technically, to reach maximum Salvo, you need to gain you need to let it run for up to 6 seconds anyway to recharge the full salvo ammo. So it pairs really well, and it's something that I use as a complementary, and unfortunately it's somehow hitting much stronger anyway. And what to say, it clears really well even without any kind of explosion. And then I swear I'm not a meta cuck. Anyway, this is actually a build idea that I'm recycling from my Path of Exile mine, which is Ice Shot of Penetration Totem Trickster. Unfortunately, Path of Exile 2 does not have a totem for any other skills other than crossbow yet. Ballista totems. So this is the next best thing. Okay, so I'm going to show you a map run real quick. I'll just do the bosses and Abyss because I have an Abyss tablet in my we'll do a powerful map boss. So this is the mod, nothing really special, some damage and some defense modifier. Then we have Abyss tablets. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how the build plays, but you can also refer to the note that I've written on the pad that I'm giving you. The playstyle is actually very simple. You use Glacial Lance and dodge frequently to trigger Mirage. You use Twister whenever you think it's off cooldown. You use Spear Field to generate rage. And then you use Freezing Marks during tougher enemy, or if you want to gain extra damage as well, because we also scale our skill effect duration. The mark is actually lasts for quite some time, 20 seconds. So it's not really that clunky to keep the buff up at all time. See? Already up again. Okay, this is the Abyss. And basically that's about it. The build doesn't have any type of explosion, unfortunately, because as I said before, Herald of Ice doesn't really work, but it still clears rather well. Even though we have Twisters running and it's an open map, it's also still very decent. Unfortunately, the visual clutter is a problem. Okay, we have bosses already, but let me finish the abyss for a bit. We're just like peppering the enemy with how many Glacial Lance projectile, and our twisters all at one time. And we don't even need to do any complicated setup for our twisters. Animus Splinter, this skill is just so very good when you pair with proper cooldown recovery. And we have like 6 stacks of our Katal's Blessing. Let's see if I can get it to 8 stacks. Okay, 8 stacks. And our Katal's Animus Splinter have a 3.5 cooldown duration. Okay, nothing. Also nothing. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. And that's something. Okay, we finished a bit, so let's go to the boss. Again, same thing, except we'll try to incorporate Elemental Sundering once the enemy frozen. Same rotation. Using Mark. Once the enemy is frozen, Elemental Sundering. Oh, 1000. I mean, that's probably a non-crit. Unfortunately, visual clarity is a problem, like I told you. And the boss is down already. And yeah, that's pretty much it, how to play the build. You can see, like, we have a 96 energy shield. And in most cases, I mean, that's probably partly due to my evasion as well. We have 63 evasion. We don't really get hit that much. This is because Glacial Lance is actually very good because... Where is it? It has more magnitude of chill inflicted and more freeze build up. And because it leaves behind in its wake a ground effect, it's not a chill ground, but it's its own ground that chills the enemy. Even from our we'll use our weakest Mirage, which is our Mirage Deadeye. We're still chilling the enemy like 40%, 44%, 33%, and if we use our stronger one, we're basically chilling the enemy at maximum 50%. So it reduces the enemy's action speed by a lot, and it's really noticeable during bosses because even they would have a very slow speed turning around to target you. So that's part of the reason why it's very safe. And to add on top, it also freezes very well. So you can see here, this is the ground effect that we have once all of our Mirage is running. So every enemy in that area is basically slowed down by 50%. So yeah, that's part of the reason why it's actually very safe build to play. Okay, now I'll go a little bit more detail into how to set up the build for my in terms of gears and gem. My gear, I'll cover the most important part first. You want for weapon set 1, your general mapping to have Crest of Aldura with a high roll of cooldown recovery rate, and intelligence is always nice. Mana regen is decent if you can get high, whatever, but I'm only getting in this a low roll because I found this one for cheap. This one has 2 sockets, so it starts exceptional base. Then for weapon socket 2, we want Sun Splinter. This thing can be any roll because the total for level of all fire, cold and lightning skills will always be 6, and because we're using it for weapon set 2, we're using it for our elemental sundering, it's all lightning, cold and fire. It will always be +6 for from your Sun Splinter. So that's the difference for weapon set 1 and weapon set 2. The rest of the gear, for weapons, we want high face, high crit damage weapon, but also, if possible, try to get the +2 level of all attack skill, because when we use both weapon set, our elemental sundering can also benefit from it. Because otherwise, if we use, let's say, level of all projectile skills only, unfortunately, our elemental sundering won't be able to benefit. But I don't know if you can get a high roll one with plus level of projectile skills, you can still use it because our Sun Splinter is actually good enough. Okay, then for our amulet, we want plus level of all projectile skills, and try to get spirit here. You actually only require 120 spirit for the 126 spirit, because we have 30 spirit from mana remnants, 30 spirit from charge regulation, and 60 from Mirage Archer. And if you include Katal's rejuvenation, then we'd add another 6 spirit. So actually only 126 spirit, and you can get more so that you can socket in things like cannibalism here, for example, in your charge regulation. But otherwise, basically any low spirit do, because I think the lowest spirit can roll in an amulet is like 30 or something. So technically you can get 30 and still be done with the build for the requirement of the build. And then power gear, one life, evasion, resistance, deflection. Life, same thing with all our other pieces. Life, evasion, resistance, deflection, movement speed of course for our boots. And then for our gloves, we want to get high attack speed. Here I got a perfect roll of attack speed and critical damage bonus, and then deflection, and also a bonus added fire damage. Then we have life and evasion, and the rest is the same thing: life, resistance, and then added damage to flat added damage to attacks, for example. For our gear, we want silver charm, unaffected by slow. Stone charm, unaffected, cannot be stunned. And then finally, this one I use rarity, but if you want to be safe, you should actually use thawing charm to prevent your character from being frozen. But I don't know, I think I'm playing safe enough not to care about freeze. But when the freeze do happen, it actually sucks really badly. I just don't think it happens that often compared to using a golden charm. And yeah, that's pretty much it from the gear. From the passive skill tree, again, weapon set 2. All in into damage. So we have critical here, damage here, penetrate here, more critical here. So it's all in into damage. And then for weapon set 1, we want to focus on things like evasion, 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 and then skill effect duration plus cooldown recovery, because our cooldown skill is only on weapon set 1. Penalty speed while moving, movement speed, same penalty speed while moving. So yeah, our mapping will be quality of life and evasion, and for weapon set 1 and weapon set 2 will have only all in on damage. That's why it's very important to only set twister and elemental sundering in weapon set 2. I'll cover that in a little bit. And the rest is pretty much self-explanatory. You pass through here, 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 here. You take some damage here. This one only for weapon set 1. This one universal spear damage. This one skill speed, quality of life. This one damage and defense. So we use our common skill tree. This one critical damage, chance to daze, stats and evasion, damage, penetrate, and then damage. So yeah, pretty much self-explanatory. Our jewel is not really that good yet. For example, here I have attack speed, projectile damage, chance to blind, magnitude of shock. This one, recover life on kill, cold damage, critical hit chance. Yeah, so I need to focus on my jewel later. But that's pretty much it for the gear. Then we'll go to the that's pretty much it for the gear and passive skill tree. It's pretty much self-explanatory. And for our ascendancy, sorry I forgot to cover. Our first ascendancy, we want to take Mirage Deadeye or Tailwind, and I prefer Mirage Deadeye. And then second will be Tailwind, third will be Call Shots, and finally Bullseye. So we don't really scale critical enough to use call shots, which will be using Sniper's Mark later. So these two are the most important point for ascendancy point. You can take Tailwind first if you want. I just prefer taking Mirage Deadeye straight away, because that way I can start focusing on things like cooldown recovery, skill effect, and whatnot. And for leveling, I've already respec, but please take damage in the early game unless you want your build to feel really bad. So this damage here and then this damage here, are some of the early notes that you want to take during leveling. You can always respec them later. And then we'll go over to the gem setup. Mirage Deadeye will be linked to Glacial Lance, Elemental Armament, Deliberation. It says we have movement speed penalty, but our Mirage don't really move, so it's just more damage. Cold Attunement, prolonged duration. So yeah, again, already covered why we want to take duration together with cooldown recovery and whatnot. Call Shots is our automated mark setup. We'll be using Sniper's Mark. Do not use Freezing Mark, because somehow the buff from Freezing Mark will be removed once you mark another enemy. Somehow it works like that. I'm not sure if it's intended or not. So that way, if you keep cycling your Freezing Mark, you will keep removing the buff from yourself. So always use Sniper's Mark, and it's also because we want to use it for our charge generation. So we use Charge Profusion, Eternal Mark, so that can be activated more than once. Charge Mark for Shock Ground, which also our Twister will benefit from. Mark of Siphoning for Leech. Same, our Mirage Archer will be the same as our Mirage Deadeye. Glacial Lance, Elemental Armament, Deliberation, Cold Attunement, Prolonged Duration. Our main skill, the one that we ourselves will be using, is Elemental Armament, Rapid Attacks, Ice Bite. Attacks gain damage once you frozen an enemy, and because our skill do not have a less damage multiplier compared to our Mirages, most of the time our freeze will be inflicted by our Glacial Lance. Treat will be hitting with our melee hit from our Spear Field every 8 seconds, so it's just more projectile damage multiplier. And most importantly, Inhibitor, because we don't want to consume our charges, because we're spreading our scaling with our Mirages, so we don't really benefit much from using a Frenzy Charge in consume version. Elemental Sundering, again, something we only use on our weapon set 2, and with our passive 3 that only focuses on damage. We have Elemental Armament, Focus, Pursuit, deal more melee damage if you dealt with a projectile attack hit recently, and we do because all of the stuff that we'll be using. Blindside for more crit, and then Red Forge for more damage as we spend our rage. Spearfield, we're only using it as utility. I'm keeping it at low level so that our mana cost is very low. There's a few skills like that in the build. I won't forget to mention that. We use Pinpoint Critical to trigger critical, Blazing Critical so that we gain damage as fire, Rage to build up our rage generation, and Rapid Attack, so we won't use it for our damage at all. It's only to trigger critical, to gain rage, and also to trigger our Sniper's Mark. Then Freezing Mark, again something that we only use at low level because somehow the build does not scale really well with level. It's only increased this more freeze build up multiplier by 1% every level. I don't think it's really that worth it. Mana is more important for us, so we have Prolonged Duration, Mark of Siphoning, Charge Mark, and Efficiency. You need to cast this manually, by the way. Okay, this is our Twister and Whirlwind Lance combo. Twister, again, weapon set 2, something that we only use sparingly, and we always straight away swap to our weapon set 1. We have Salvo, which gains projectile acceleration for more speed, prolonged duration, more duration of our Twister, Cold Attunement so that it's cold. I mean, you can use Lightning Attunement as well because it will be sucking Shock Ground, but because our build is cold damage, so I just use Cold Attunement to also benefit our freeze build up. And then Deliberation, again more damage. Animal Splinter, we use Whirlwind Lance. The most important support will be Nova Projectiles and Overreach. We use Overreach instead of Magnified Area because it's only a small area of effect modifier and we don't really care about hitting enemies, but it doesn't have an increased cost multiplier because Animal Splinter will cost mana and Runic Ward. So it's better not to have a high level for this one as well and as low cost as possible. Rapid Attack's not really necessary, I think, but I just put there because I have the slot. Charge regulation is our reservation skill. We have charge reservation, mana remnants, and Mirage Archer in order of importance. Mirage Archer will be the first one that you want to reserve, and then mana remnant second, and finally charge regulation last once you get the spirit. Okay, charge regulation allows us to have more critical hit chance when you have a power charge, more armor evasion and energy shield when you have endurance, more skill speed when you have frenzy charge. We actually want this skill speed, but because we're using, where is it? Charge profusion 2, where it says supported skills have 15% chance to grant additional random charge, which might not be frenzy. So sometimes at base, our charge regulation would always have the increased skill speed, but sometimes it will have more critical hit chance and more energy evasion for us as well once it triggers endurance and power charge instead. So that's very nice. And because we trigger a lot from our repeated mark application and critical hit application, so it happens quite a bit more than you think. Skill that we use to solve most of our mana problems during mapping anyway. It allows us to to spawn remnants that grants us a lot of mana. We don't use it at a very high level because of the in requirement. So I'm only keeping at level 13 because I only have like 107 intelligence here. Oops. Relinking it with harmonic remnants for allow additional remnant and to be collected from further away. Remnant potency, we use remnant potency 1 because we just want an increased effect with no delay, because higher level will have a delay to the effect. We don't want that. And then finally, Katal's rejuvenation, I already covered inside the build intro for additional buff from mana remnant, which is cooldown recovery. And again, very very important, I can't stress this enough. For weapon set 2, the one where your passive skill tree shift to all in for damage, you only want elemental sundering and twister because you don't want to stay at that state for long, because it also sacrifices your defense. So always do it and then straight away do whatever skill to follow up to shift to your more defensive skill tree. And that's about it for the gear and gem setup. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the build. I'm currently level 91 already reached the end game. I've completed Expedition, Ritual and Abyss, and also Patch and Arbiter of Divinity. So I already done a ton of end game content already with this build. It can pretty much do anything you throw at it at the moment. And I really have fun playing it, and I'm glad that for the most part what I wanted it to be, I got to theory craft and put it into practice. The only problem that I don't like is I'm actually playing Twister when in fact I wanted to do like a Herald of Ice explosion with my spears instead, but somehow make it work with my proxies. So yeah, that's the trade-off. The only trade-off that I'm disappointed with. Maybe it's a bug, maybe it's intended. Either way, this is the version that I settle with. And as always, I'll be posting it on the guide on Mobalytics as well. But if you have any question, feel free to ask me down in the comment section down below, and I'll answer it to the best of my ability. And that's it. See you next time, Exile. Bye.